I'm live already. Hey, spiritual warriors! I am back with the last day of the Ascension activation. Whew, this has been really energizing and really fun for me because I feel like these past 3 days I've really gotten to delve into some deep topics that completely light me up. And I hope that this has been as informational for you as it's been for me to really be able to dive into these deeper topics and really begin to help you guys understand how to work with your own energy in a new way. Okay, so today's topic is really about how do you become an ascended master, I talked about, right? So, and obviously, when you think of an ascended master, you think of like a monk, like sitting on the top of a mountain with like no thoughts and just like in total like peace or nirvana or something like that. And that's not exactly what I mean. But what I mean is really being able to utilize the tools to become the master of your reality and live your life in a much more balanced way. And really be able hi Dawn, and really be able to create exactly what you want, right? Because you totally can do that. You totally can use the tools that I'm showing you to raise the bar for yourself and live at a higher level. And that's what I mean by ascended master. It's really learning how to work with the energies in your life instead of living in this way where things are kind of like happening to you. And that's what we want to get out of. And today I'm going to be talking all about zooming your perspective out, right? So I touched on this a little bit yesterday around like zooming the lens out and how when we do that, we can look at things from a completely different perspective and understand why things are unfolding the way that they are so that we don't get so tripped up on like, oh, well, this thing happened and then that thing happened and then why is this happening to me, right? Hi, Laurie. So, yeah, so today we're going to really go into how to see your life from a higher perspective, free your mind, and follow the wisdom of your soul. So, what today really is I'm really taking the last 2 days and all of the stuff I've talked about in the last 2 days and kind of fusing it together and making it more tangible so that you can actually walk away with something that you can put into practice now to start to create the life that you desire. Okay. So, these are like, I'm going to be giving you ways today that you can take what I'm telling you and use it in your everyday situations, right? Because it's one thing to experience a wonderful feeling, a download, a powerful moment in a meditation or in a breathwork session. And that's amazing, right? That feels really good. But then how do we take that feeling? How do we take that insight or understanding and bring it into our everyday lives and make it applicable and like assimilate it into our lives and use that knowledge to help us actually be able to live more empowered and enjoyable lives. Okay. So, the biggest thing here is really around cultivating a certain awareness to be able to do that. And a lot of that really begins with being able to change your perspective and look at things from the perspective of your soul, right? So, what does that mean? Okay, so we want to be able to start navigating our daily situations from a different perspective and having kind of like a deeper understanding of things. Okay, so I'm going to give you some examples here. And I know if you've been watching the last few days, I've been using my husband as an example a lot. He'll probably never watch this, so it's totally fine. But he's such a great example for me because I always joke that like I chose him in this life to become enlightened because he literally triggers me constantly and I'm always learning so many lessons from him. But I really think that, I mean, I think we have some past life karma as well, but I think that I really chose him in this lifetime because it really has empowered me to learn so many different lessons and step into my power in such a different way and be so non-codependent, I forget what, independent. um and really have to step into a new level of confidence. And I'm going to get into that in a minute. Okay. So this is what I want to ask you. And I want you guys to put answers in the chat. Hi, Valeria. I want you guys to put your answers in the chat so we can kind of talk about this. Okay. So did you ever have something happen to you that in the moment it felt like the worst thing that has ever happened in your whole entire life, right? Maybe you got fired from a job, maybe you lost somebody close to you, one of those big life-changing moments, okay? And when it happened, it seemed like it was honestly the worst thing that had ever happened to you. And then now that maybe a year or 2 years or 3 years has gone by, when you look back, you realize that it was probably the best thing that ever happened to you, because you wouldn't be the person you are today if that thing didn't happen. Okay. So let me know if that resonates with you. Let me know if you have a similar situation like that. I'd love to hear so we can kind of bounce things off of each other. But for me, I can give you an example of something like this. But why I'm bringing this up is because this is really an example of how to look at things from the perspective of your soul, right? So when you're looking back at this thing that happened that you thought was so bad that now you realize it was perfect, that's the perspective of your soul. Hi, Easter. Okay. So this is that bigger perspective that I'm talking about. So in case before you weren't quite sure what I meant about stepping back and looking at that larger perspective, this is what I mean, okay? So I'm going to give you an example from my own life. Absolutely, says Valeria. Definitely so many times. Yeah, so we've all had these things happen, right? So I'm going to explain mine. So, and Valeria can actually probably relate to this. So this is what happened at my old job. I was a school counselor for many years at the same school, and there was a lot of things that happened where it ended up that people didn't like me, and essentially there was people in my job that were like against me and trying to get me fired, essentially. And it was really traumatic for me. Like, I've always been the type of person that gets along with everybody. I'm friends with everybody. I never have any problems with anyone. And when this happened, I was completely traumatized. I felt like I needed to leave, and I was really, really heartbroken, right? But what I realized in the end was that that was the exact perfect thing that was supposed to happen, because I was supposed to leave that job. And if that didn't happen, I may have stayed there for, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 more years being comfortable in this job that wasn't really for me anymore. The universe basically like bopped me over the head and said, there's more for you, Elise. You're supposed to be doing more and you need to leave. And that's what ended up happening. So in the moment, I was completely traumatized. I didn't know what I was going to do. I was so upset. If you ask any of my friends, like, I was talking about it all the time. I was like devastated. But then as I got, more and more time away from it, I realized that that was the exact perfect thing that was supposed to happen, right? So I'm sure we've all experienced these types of situations where it's almost like a rock bottom in your life. It's one of those things where the universe basically slaps you in the face, hits you over the head, and says, here is a lesson for you that you need to learn, right? And this is the perspective of your soul, right? Because the perspective of your personality, or that 3D perspective that I was talking about yesterday, would say, oh my God, my life is horrible. My life is falling apart. I don't know what to do. Victim mode, like, poor me, right? But the soul perspective looks at that and says, hold on here. This is now an opportunity for me to take a new direction. This is now an opportunity for me to choose something different in my life that's more aligned for me. And this is a lesson that I need to learn for whatever reason. And we all have different lessons to learn, right? We all came into this life to experience different things and learn different lessons and give different things. But at the same time, we need to learn these lessons. So these big things happen to us to kind of jolt us into this reality, okay? But that's the perspective of the soul, is to realize that there's a bigger picture. There's a bigger lesson here, and there's a reason why things are unfolding as they are. So it's really important to trust in that. And when things occur in your daily life and you don't know kind of how to navigate it or what to think about it, take a step back and look at it from the perspective of your soul. What is the deeper purpose here? What is the deeper meaning of why this thing is happening? Okay. So Laurie says this is exactly what happened to me with a job I had for 15 years. New boss, terrible experience that I carried with me for literally 5 years. Yeah. So a lot of these things will happen in our careers, right? Because our career is like one of the biggest ways that we find joy, alignment, the way that we express ourselves. So yeah, the career is huge. And that's exactly what happened to me too. So anyway, okay, so does that make sense to everyone of how we can step back and look at things from that higher perspective? Ask ourselves, like, why is this unfolding this way? Okay, because there's always a deeper meaning. There's always a reason why things are unfolding. Nothing is random. It's not like things are just happening to you. Another really good example of this is a car accident, right? This is a really common one for people because sometimes car accidents happen that kind of jolt you into a new way of thinking. It's actually like the universe's way of kind of like jolting you into like, hey, wake up, like something's about to happen, right? You need to wake up. So the universe has a funny way of speaking to us like this. So it's so important to listen and start to look at things from the perspective of your soul. Okay. So that's the first thing. Okay, and then the other thing that I really wanted to get into today, and I got into this a little bit yesterday and the day before, is around triggers and how to really navigate through your triggers and use them as opportunities for growth and expansion on a daily basis, right? Because this is one of the ways to start to really assimilating these practices into your daily life is if when things occur, in that moment when you are triggered by some situation or some person, using these tools that I'm giving you to look at situations differently. Okay. So I just kind of gave you guys the example of my husband, which is someone that triggers me a lot, right? He just has kind of like a sarcastic like personality, and he always knows the right thing to say to kind of like push me over the edge or to push my buttons, or he always knows what to say that's going to make me like question myself or question my confidence, right? And it's not in a mean way. I know some of you are like, oh my God, who's she married to? But no, that's just his personality. And I feel like it goes so perfectly for me because I am constantly learning these lessons about how to stand really strong in who I am, what I believe in, and in my power. Okay, so I'm going to give you some examples of this. Okay. And the one thing I do want to say is that through all of these examples, one of the main lessons that I want you to take away from this is that your relationships are your greatest teachers. So the people that you are with all the time, AKA husband, wife, partner, whoever it is, those people are going to be teaching you your greatest lessons. And it's important that you zoom out and look at these relationships from the perspective of your soul and say, okay, why am I having such a hard time with this person, right? And a lot of times, like the 3D perspective, the zoomed in perspective would say, oh, he's an asshole, or this person just really doesn't like me, or I just really don't get along with this person. But really, that person that you just don't get along with is your greatest teacher. They are the one who is able to show you that place of deep healing that you need to go to, right? That place that really needs to be healed within you. That person is showing you, right? That's what a trigger is. Okay. So it's really important when you get triggered by another person or you get upset about something that happens in your relationship, something that someone says to you, you are able to look at it from this perspective. Okay. Because that's where the healing and growth occurs. And that's where you become the master of your reality because you are able to work with the energy that's happening instead of resisting it. Okay. Because when we say to ourselves, oh, this person, they're just mean or he's an asshole or whatever it is, that's you resisting the energy instead of working with the energy to say, okay, Why am I so upset by this situation? What within me is asking me to look at it so that I can heal and go to a deeper level of growth and expansion within myself? Okay. So let me just make sure I'm not missing anything here. Okay. So, some examples. So, I just wanted to get into some examples and how to navigate them. And if you guys have an example that maybe you want me to help you navigate, you can put it in the comments because it would be fun to kind of work with that. Because sometimes people have situations that do seem really, really impossible, right? Especially with my clients, I'll see like, somebody's husband is so rude, so mean, so talking negative to them, right? And it is so hard sometimes to be able to see that part of what is happening is you and not just trying to blame it on the other person, right? And again, I mentioned this the other day, but the work of Byron Katie is so good for this. I don't know if anyone has ever read her book. I read it years ago, but her whole philosophy is anytime that you're upset about anything, about anyone, you turn it around and you make it about you, because really the only person who you're ever really upset at is you. Okay. Okay, so here's a really good example, okay? Because this is not necessarily where someone does something to you, but this is an example of projection that can get really tricky. And I want to show you how you can kind of turn it around and get the lesson from it. Okay, so I'm going to give you another example of my husband. Okay, so for a very long time, I'm looking to see if he's listening. So for a very long time, I always kind of like held this, not resentment, but I was always like, oh, he doesn't understand what I need and he's never fully present for me, right? That was my big thing with him. And I would like tell our therapist and I would tell everybody, like, he can't be fully present. He doesn't know how to be fully present, right? And, I always kind of like blamed him for this. Well, recently, and I mentioned this yesterday, but I'm going to fully tell you the story now. I did have a very healing inner child moment happen for me a few weeks ago, where I realized that in my past, when I was younger, when I was growing up, I had a lot of psychic abilities, and I would see things, and I would have access to other information that didn't make sense to me. I saw ghosts a lot, and it scared the crap out of me, right? And I was also really scared to tell anyone. I never told my parents. I never really told any adults in my life. I just kind of like kept it to myself and was scared a lot. And the way that I coped with this was that I withdrew myself from situations and people, right? So I withdrew myself from my parents, and everyone would always say I was shy when I was little. But it wasn't really that I was shy. I just withdrew because that was my coping mechanism to deal with all of the energy that I was taking in, because I was super sensitive and I had psychic gifts and I didn't know how to handle it. So I just withdrew myself from the situation, right? And I would kind of like numb out and not talk and just be totally withdrawn. So I realized that I was actually doing that with myself, right? And this is really, really important. I hope you guys are staying with me, because like I mentioned the other day, we tend to treat ourselves the way that our parents treated us and the way that things were modeled to us, right? So my coping mechanism was to withdraw from the world, but I was also withdrawing from myself, right? So because I felt like I wasn't able to be fully present with myself and I was withdrawing from myself, I was projecting that onto my husband, saying that he couldn't be fully present with me, right? And this is just a realization that I had like 3 weeks ago or something. So I realized that I wasn't allowing myself to be fully present with me, but I was projecting it onto him. And this is a really, really important one, guys. If you want to be able to really create what you want in your life and be the master of your reality, you have to take responsibility for the things that you feel and not project them on other people, right? And it's a process, don't get me wrong. It's not always easy, but for me, this was a huge lesson, because I realized that I was actually blaming him for the thing that I wasn't giving myself. And this happens really often in relationships, right? If we don't think the person is there for us or giving us enough attention, right? Or whatever the thing is, we need to go back and look at Well, where am I not giving that to myself, right? Where am I not giving myself love? Where am I not giving myself understanding? Or where am I not giving myself attention? Because that's always the basis of what we think the problem is out here, right? It's always in here. And this is really one of the key secrets to being able to work with the energy of your own reality is having to take full responsibility for all of your emotions, knowing that you are in full control of all of them and it's all coming from within you. And once you do that, even though it's scary, even though it's confronting, it's liberating because now you have full agency over yourself, your emotions, and the reality that you're creating, right? So again, it's never really about the other person, okay? And I know this can be hard to navigate because you can be like, oh, this person's so annoying, like blah, blah, blah. Oh, this was another one that I wanted to share. I was always thinking that my husband was bossy, like always trying to tell me what to do, right? And this is an interesting one. So I was always blaming him for being too controlling, trying to tell me what to do, right? And I realized that the thing that I was really upset about is that I wasn't stepping into my own power. And this is something I had to learn in my business and I had to learn in my relationship, that I was projecting onto him because I was really upset with myself for not saying what I truly wanted, for not stepping into my own power and calling the shots when I felt like I needed to. Because I would step back and not do that because that's what I learned early on in life, right? So this was a big one. So now that I've learned to step up into my power and be the boss in my own life and be more vocal and in my power in my relationship, I don't get mad at him for trying to be controlling anymore because I've healed that within myself. Okay, does that make sense? Let me know if this resonates with you guys. Let me know if you can relate. Yes. Oh, good. Oh, Valeria, that's you and your brother. Yeah. Yeah. There's always that one person that like totally triggers you. And we bring these people into our lives in order to learn the lessons. They are our greatest teachers, right? As my friend, my best friend, Ed would say, they are your Buddha, right? They are your greatest teachers. Everyone around you is your teacher, but those people that trigger you the most, they're in your life for a reason, and you shouldn't run away from them and be like, oh, I just don't get along with this person, because then you'll never get the lessons. Okay. Okay. So finally realizing that the answer is always you. That's the biggest thing. And that's the biggest takeaway that I want you to take from today around really stepping into your power as an ascended master, is being able to work with these energies, because we're human, right? We're not going to be sitting on the top of a mountain meditating all day and like being like a monk, right? We're just not going to do that. We're humans. We're having a human experience. We're going to experience emotions, bad and good, right? Valeria says, I still don't understand how to learn the lesson. Okay, so the lesson is around what you still need to heal within yourself, right? So, for example, when I realized that I was projecting onto my husband for being bossy, when really I was angry at myself for not stepping into my own power. So, the lesson for me was that I needed to step into my power in a new way, okay? Does that make sense? Or if you're projecting on the person in your life that they said something to make you angry, really you need to look at why that anger is still within you, right? What is unresolved within you? That's the lesson. Okay. Let me know if that makes sense. Okay. So being an ascended master doesn't mean we're going to be sitting on a mountain like a monk meditating all day. We're still having human emotions. We're still, experiencing pain or fear, love, pleasure, whatever it is. We're still experiencing the whole gamut of emotions. It's just, how are we working with the energy? How are we navigating it in a way that is empowering, right? And that is taking agency over our life. And the biggest key takeaways here is taking that zoomed out perspective, right? The perspective of your soul, of why is this unfolding this way? Why is this thing happening this way? Okay. And the other one is allowing yourself to learn the lessons from the people around you that trigger you, right? Or learning that you are projecting onto other people and taking responsibility for that. So it's being able to look at things from the perspective of your soul and taking responsibility for your emotions. Valeria, let me know if that makes sense, because I want to make sure that you understand. So the lesson is always around what you need to look at within yourself and what needs to be healed within yourself. Okay. Okay. So the other thing I really want to talk about that is a key piece of being able to work with these energies is breath work. And you know that I've mentioned this every single day, and I will mention it every day because it really is the most powerful way to be able to release what you're holding on to from the past, heal from it, and then really start to connect into this energy of the quantum field of 5D consciousness, where all possibilities exist for you, so you can really begin to create exactly what you desire. Okay, so being able to utilize breath work almost on a daily basis. You don't have to do it every day. I would say every other day is good. um, but yeah, really being able to utilize the breath work to tap into this energy, and the awarenesses that will come through to you will really, really blow your mind, because a lot of this stuff, guys, is not always conscious, right? Stuff that needs to be healed, stuff that we're holding on to from the past, it's not always in our conscious awareness. But when we do the breath work, we allow the energy to move in the body, and the stuck energy that is living in our subconscious begins to rise into the conscious awareness. So, and then we can realize what we're holding on to and release it through the breath. It's pretty simple. Okay, so the most exciting thing right now that I want to talk about around breath work is the bundle that I've created. And this is really for people who are like, okay, I really want to try this breath work stuff. I want to see how it's going to work for me. And I want to, see if it's going to make an impact, like you're saying. I created the abundance activation bundle for those people that want to like dip their toe in and see what breathwork is all about. Okay. So it's really powerful, though. I'm super excited about it. I actually did one of the breathwork sessions this morning, and it totally changed my energy, totally activated me. It was really, really profound. So it's 3 breathwork sessions around releasing fear, connecting deeply with your higher self, and then opening up to your true abundance. And this is not just about money, guys. This is about really opening up to the abundance and wisdom of the universe and being able to connect in with that wisdom from your intuition, from your higher self, and allow that to be your guide. Okay. So this bundle will really, really help activate those parts of yourselves. So it's super accessible, amazing price. I really created this because I wanted everyone to have access to this work and be able to really benefit from it and really feel the transformational benefits. So just until Saturday, I'm offering 20% off. If you use the code ACTIVATE, which I put in the chat, you can get 20% off, and that's only till Saturday. So make sure you grab it because it's so awesome. I'm so excited about it, and I can't wait to hear everyone's results because I know it's gonna like blow you open your mind, and allow you to access that deeper level of consciousness that we're talking about, and really begin to make it easier to utilize these tools that I'm talking about, really being able to zoom out your perspective and then understand how to work with the situations in your daily life that may be hard to navigate at this point. Okay. Okay. So let me know if anyone has any other questions. I do want to pull another Starseed Oracle card. These cards are so cute. I just want to show you how they open. So beautiful. Okay, so I'm just going to pull a card around what we need to do to kind of move to the next level. Okay, what do we need to focus on to move to the next level as a collective? So if you're watching this live, and also for everyone watching the replay, please give me a hashtag replay, but this is for the collective, all my Breed to Succeed spiritual warriors. Oh, I love this. Okay. So this card is Baby Steps. Look how pretty this is. And it says action. Follow your intuition before it makes sense. Oh my God, I love this. So this is where really the trust comes in, right? And this is what I was talking about the other day, is sometimes we need to trust our intuition. If we feel drawn to something, even if it feels scary, it's so important to trust that and trust where you're being drawn to, right? Trust your intuition, take action even before it makes sense to you, even if it feels scary, right? And this is something I had to learn so much on my own journey as I started working. Yes, Valeria, that is totally for you. Yeah, even when I was, I've been on my journey for a long time, but when I started my business, right, this is a great example. I was so scared. I did not think that I could do this. I didn't have the confidence in myself to like bring people in and to share what I was doing. And I did it anyway, even though I really wasn't sure exactly what I was doing. And I followed my intuition, even when it felt scary. I invested a lot of money in myself, even when it felt a little bit scary, because I didn't know how not to, because I was so drawn to doing this that I had to listen to that. And that's what this card is all about. Follow those things that you are really drawn to, okay? That, and even if it doesn't make logical sense, right? And I think this is the part where we all get tripped up a little bit, is we feel drawn to something, but then we start thinking about it, right? And we think of all of the reasons why it's not going to make sense, why logistically it can't happen in our lives, what our friends are going to say about it, what our partner is going to say about it, right? And that's where we get tripped up. But if we allow ourselves to really just be drawn and be led by our intuition and by the universe and take action, even if it feels a little scary and even if it doesn't quite make sense yet, just trusting that it will, and that your intuition is your greatest guide, it is your greatest teacher. That's what we really need to focus on right now, and not getting so caught up in all of the logistical, circumstantial, 3D stuff, right? Zoom out. Look at things from the perspective of your soul. What is the bigger picture? What is the deeper journey that you're on right now, right? And that's where you're going to really find those answers. And that's where you're not only going to find answers, but you're going to find that comfort and support in that trust around your intuition and around where you're really naturally being led. Because whenever we go around and ask 100 people what we should do or what they think, we always end up feeling more confused, less supported, and less grounded, because we're now investing in the opinions of all these other people that don't align with what we truly think. And maybe some of them do, maybe some of them don't, but really what your soul, what your higher self, your deeper self is truly wanting is for you to listen to that guidance that is coming from your soul. And that's what the breath work will really help you do, and really help you sink in to trusting that guidance. And that's what we're all being called to do right now. Okay. So, Dawn, that's how you feel now. Yes, I feel like we're all feeling a little bit of this right now. So, and it's so important for us to share and have community, right? And that's why I created this group, and also my beautiful Metamorphosis community. It is so awesome and so great to help each other and support each other as we grow in this work. Okay, so I would love to hear from you. If you are interested in trying breath work, grab the bundle. It's so awesome. And also, if you are interested in joining my Metamorphosis community and really transforming your life and going through a metamorphosis and connecting to yourself in a really deep way, then set up an activation call with me. Okay, this was so fun. I can't wait to connect with you even more, and I will see you guys soon. Bye.